Randy, are you going to be okay?
I don't know. Welcome to the Brandi and Randy Podcast for this week. It's our pleasure. And I know Brandi feels the same way. We get to talk to Ron Keel today. How cool is that, man?
The Metal Cowboy.
The Metal Cowboy, that's right. Ron's got a lot of things going on. He's got his own radio station, KRFK Radio. You can hear that on TuneIn or KRFK.com. You can listen to it on there. Plus all kinds of things going on, and that's what we want to talk to him about. Ron Keel, welcome.
Hey, great to be here. Thank you for having me on the podcast, Brandi, Randy, and there is a lot to talk about. It's a very busy time for us, and I'll try my best to be brief and fit it all in.
It's going to be hard, Ron. There's tons of stuff going on.
I know. It's insane, and it seems, after 40 years in the business, this year we're celebrating the 40th anniversary of my debut album, which is pretty cool. I mean, it's a great milestone.
Yeah.
But you'd think that I would have slowed down a little bit, but exactly the opposite. As I get older, I'm 62 now. I've still got a lot of fire and a lot of gas in the tank, and I love what I do, and I think I'm still doing it well. But Father Time is undefeated, and as you start to near the finish line, like any horse in a big race, you just start to kind of find that extra gear. And I'm working harder than I ever have, but the music keeps me sane, keeps me grounded, because at the core of everything, I'm a singer, songwriter, musician, entertainer, and an artist. It's tough to put the guitar down and take care of business, but I do the best I can.
And you do a fantastic job, Ron. You are always so incredibly busy coming out with new stuff. Let's talk about some of your new music, like American Thunder.
Well, thank you for mentioning that. That is the first full album release from my label, RFK Media. We have our own record company, me and some very dear partners of mine, RFKmedia.com. And we've signed a couple of acts that we really believe in. Crashing Wayward from Las Vegas, just a new, modern, edgy, fresh approach to alternative rock, and a classic four-piece heavy rock band from Fayetteville, North Carolina called The Fifth. So we've got our full stable of artists, including the Ron Keel Band. We're releasing all of my product and releases from now on, branching out into audio books, comedy, video, all kinds of stuff, art, anything that entertains people that comes from a creative place. That's where we want to go. But this album called Live the Rock, Volume 1, was our way to showcase a lot of the artists that reached out to us that wanted to work with us. We just I don't have the time, we don't have the resources to really thoroughly work, 10, 15 acts. So, and the tradition of the albums that really got my career started 40 years ago, an album called Metal Massacre from Metal Blade Records was the first appearance on any album by Metallica, Rat, Lizzie Borden, and my band, Steeler. And that record, it was really the cornerstone of an empire. And it was basically Brian Slagle, who owns Metal Blade Records, believing in these acts, putting them all on one record, putting it out there, and creating a sensation, literally, in the Southern California heavy metal scene in 1982. I wanted to carry that tradition on into the next generation, because that record had such a profound impact on our generation and my career. So we found 15 artists we love and believe in, and 15 songs that can knock your socks off. Of course, I had to include a couple of my songs on the collection as well. American Thunder, which you mentioned, is one of those tracks, performed by basically an all-star band of friends. I invited a lot of great friends to this party. It's a duet with me and Roy Cathy from The Fifth, one of the bands that we've signed. I mentioned them a few minutes ago. So Roy and I swapping lines and screaming at each other, laying down that duet. It's hard to find a good male rock metal duet, so we had to write one. And I've got Mike Vanderhule from Y&T on drums, Dave Cawthorn from Ron Keel Band on guitar, Stacy David Blades from Crashing Wayward and LA Guns on lead guitar, as well as Justin Womble and Iron Horse guitarist Jay Rusnak. So it's kind of an all-star jam with some of my best friends, and a song that really unites the players and the listeners in the spirit of American musical diversity. Doesn't matter which side of the fence you're on, left or right, you will enjoy the sound of American Thunder.
You're right. I can't stop listening to it. I really love that song. It's fantastic. So we definitely want that song to be showcased. We want everyone to listen to that.
Where's that available at, Ron, if someone wants to purchase that?
Pretty much everywhere. Amazon, RFKmedia.com. You can get signed copies from our website, RFKmedia.com.
Awesome, yeah. So yeah, that's a great song, and I've been listening to. I just took the whole weekend and listened to a lot of stuff that you did. I'm kind of geeking out on stuff. So,
well, that's awesome. And then the Live the Rock album is now available on Spotify as well. And
which I listened to, which I think,
album that's Go ahead, sorry.
I said I loved it. I listened to it. It's cool. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I'm very proud of that record. It was a lot of work. It's kind of like being in 15 bands at once and really trying to give my attention to each song, each track, each artist, each guitar player, each singer, and make sure that everything was spelled correctly. It was a lot of work. Plus, I had to listen to the record countless times, over and over again during the mastering process, making sure the levels are balanced, making sure the sequence of songs is an entertaining ride, not just a collection of different artists, but the whole album itself takes you on a journey. So I was really enjoying that process of just listening to it top to bottom over and over again, and I'm still listening.
Let's talk about your show that you have on your radio station, Streets of Rock and Roll.
Streets of Rock and Roll is my 1 hour to do whatever I want to do on the radio. I've been doing the show now. Well, it started in 2012, so we're in our 11th year. I did take a break for several years to do live radio on KBAD 94.5 FM in Sioux Falls. I did the midday shift, 10 to 2, and learned a lot, not only having to be under the gun doing live radio 4 hours a day, but also we had the best of the best mentors and rock royalty, basically rock radio royalty from throughout the Midwest, working with me at the station. I didn't have a clue what I was doing. The first time I hit the red button that I'm live on the air, because my show's pre-recorded, and if I screw up, I can fix it, basically. But live, you're out there without a net. And I learned so much from my coworkers and the people at the station, from the audience. It was a lot of social media interaction. We'd take requests, really engaged with the audience on a day-to-day basis. No real format, just rock them and make them feel good and get them through the workday. So I learned a lot with that process. And the radio show, Streets of Rock and Roll, when I resumed that after my live career was over, you could see the results immediately. I mean, just the ability to act naturally and just be yourself. I learned I'm not speaking to tens of thousands of people. I'm speaking to that one guy or that one girl at the auto shop listening over the speaker, or that one girl at the office with the earbuds in. It's a one-on-one thing. You're not addressing an audience of thousands of people like I'm used to doing on stage. So that was one of the most valuable lessons I learned, and how to conduct a great interview, how to really dig deep, get 13 to 15 minutes of compelling content from your heroes. I mean, I've interviewed people that 45 years ago, I was standing in line to buy a ticket to their show. Now they're coming on my radio show, which is, always a thrill to talk to your heroes, Hall of Famers, and people that are interesting and can deliver, some perspective or content. I often discuss with the singers, because usually it's the lead singer doing the interviews, right?
Sure.
I often discuss with them about the voice, because I'm fascinated by the topic, how they warm up, what they do before a show, what they do before a recording session, microphone choices. There's just a little, couple of minutes of each conversation dealing with the voice. And I've compiled all of those highlights from over 250 interviews into an audiobook called Talking Singing. And it's me basically talking about singing with the best of the business. I mean, Glenn Hughes and Joe Elliott from Def Leppard, and just people that are dead now. Jimmy Jameson from Survivor. had a great conversation with him talking about singing. So that audiobook is now available on my Patreon page, one chapter at a time. We're finishing up chapter 3 today, actually. And one chapter at a time. Once it's done, we'll publish it for the public. But the Patreon page is where you get all the good stuff, the inside scoop, the exclusive content. We've got 138 exclusive video clips that you're not going to see on YouTube. You want to see the first Keel show ever?
Yes.
It's not out there. It's on my subscription site. It's only $6.99, but that's where I really go the extra mile to give my fans, my listeners, and my audience the best exclusive content I possibly can, which started during my wife's bout with cancer in 2017. I had to take a year off and work from home. This is years before the COVID pandemic. I had to learn how to work from home. I'm going to be with her during chemo, radiation, 12 surgeries. I'm not leaving, so, but I can't stop talking or singing or entertaining people. So I figured out a way to work from home with that Patreon platform. The address is patreon.com/Ron Keel. But that's where you get all the good stuff, including the new audiobook, Talking Singing.
So, Ron, let me ask you this. What is it that you do prior to hitting that stage? What is your warm-up?
I do have a quick little vocal warm-up, a stretch. The stretches are important, especially at my age, and have a couple of shots of whiskey. And I go through the vowels, basically A, E, I, O, U. The vowel sounds are all that the throat can actually make. All the consonants come from the mouth and the lips. So once you get those vowels under control, and I don't want to blow my voice out before I hit the stage, but I want to make sure I'm good to go. And so I do a little bit of warm up, and I have my pep talk with the guys in the band. I bring my boys together, and we just kind of reaffirm our commitment to each other and to the audience and to the music. And then we go out there, and really, when you walk on, I do this all the time when I'm hitting the big stage and you're walking up that ramp or those stairs. Right. It really does feel like you're jumping out of an airplane. I mean, the whole world changes the minute you walk into the spotlight. And as long as I've been doing it, I've never gotten used to it. It's the wildest feeling. Really, I've never jumped out of an airplane, but I can imagine it's kind of like that. It's like the point of no return. You're going in, and here you are, and all of a sudden you're in front of, friends and strangers trying to do what you were born to do. It's an amazing feeling.
All eyes on you, and ears too.
Right. So, Ron, did I see that you've been in a movie?
I've done a few TV and film roles, and we are now working on a film called Anomaly. It's a paranormal sci-fi thriller that I portray a character by the name of Russell Tate, who is the leader of a paranormal research team that gets in way over their heads, and it's very scary and a lot of fun. We started filming last year in the tunnels underneath New Jersey. I mean, you're down hundreds of feet underground, and literally chasing. I can't tell you what we're chasing because I signed a non-disclosure agreement, but it's just a blast, And again, I'm in over my head with this thing because I did study acting at Santa Monica College back in the day, and I did a few roles. I was always the biker or the musician. So you didn't have to really, act. You just had to be yourself. And this one, the hardest thing about it being a scary movie, a really scary story, and a great script, by the way. The hardest thing for me is to act scared. So it's like, I've got to scream and run and pretend like I'm frightened. And that was still, I think we had to do a number of takes of those scenes because I'm not naturally fearful of much of anything. And then to have to pretend to be scared of something that, it's just, that was weird. But it's a challenge, and I'm working with some amazingly talented people and other actors and the producer, director, writer, visionary, Terry R. Wickham, who it's his story, it's his baby. And he was a Keel fan. And that's how I got this gig. He grew up listening to our records back in the 80s. And about 5 years ago or so, he reached out to me for music for one of his music video projects. And I I let him use one of our songs for that video, and it was a racing video. And he used our song Speed Demon, and we developed a friendship when he started really finalizing plans to put this film on the big screen. It's called Anomaly. He reached out to me and said, I'm looking for a rock star who can act. Do you want to tackle this role? And at this stage of the game, man, I'm up for any challenge. So bring it on. And it is a blast. It's learning the lines, I can tell you. And, we live in an age where many of the rock stars that we admire and we pay to go see are using teleprompters to remember songs that they've been singing for decades.
Yeah.
You don't have that luxury on a movie set. You've got to feel it, think it, and relay those lines of dialogue from memory as if you are really that character. What a huge challenge. So to this day, I still I do not use a teleprompter. You'll never see me reading the lyrics. I'd rather screw up than read them. But that's another big challenge, memorizing the entire script.
That has to be quite the well, for me it would be quite the problem. I can't remember who I am half the time. So
that's true, yeah.
Right? So to be able to do all that, Ron, you are just amazing. You really are. You're just one of the most amazing rockers out there.
Oh, thank you. Well, I appreciate the challenges, man. I don't claim to be the best at anything that I do, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to try and give it my best effort and enjoy the process, man. It's a ride. We're not here forever. We're not here for a long time. We're here for a good time. So I'm going to enjoy it every day, every experience, every song, every road trip, every audience, every movie, every radio show, everything that I do. Really, it's very selfish because I do enjoy it. I love creating stuff and being a part of any creative team, and that's really where that's my destiny. Not that I'm really any good at any one thing, but I just love the creative process.
Well, you're certainly. I mean, your new music's fantastic. It's great that music's kind of coming around again and it's kind of back out there again. I think.
Good songs will last forever, and stylistically, there's a couple. That's an interesting topic, Randy, because that style of music, to me, the '80s, hard rock, Sunset Strip.
Yep.
Call it what you want. People call it hair metal or whatever. To us, it was just all hard rock. You ask any of us back then, we were just hard rockers. We liked the hard, edgy, loud, obnoxious, electric, sexy stuff.
Yep.
And that music is alive and well, thanks to a lot of these young bands that are carrying on the tradition, and they don't have to spend a ton of money on it. I've got one band in Germany that I'm working with called Snakebite.
Okay.
And they did their new record for $5,000.
Really?
And back then, even in the '80s, we were spending $2,000 a day. I mean, that's 2.5 days worth of studio time. Now you can do it. It's a lot cheaper to make records. A lot cheaper to make good records, especially if you know what you're doing and you can be smart about it. You can make a great sounding product for a lot less. So that's enabling some of these younger bands, who are obviously the younger generation is even more computer savvy than my generation is. So they're able to create that stuff. And there's some great bands out there. I mean, I've toured with the Midnight City from the UK, Crazy Licks. Just the list goes on. You'll hear a lot of these bands on KRFK Radio. But they're not able to make a living doing it. That's the difference. And it's, even if they have to go create a crowdfunding campaign to raise the $5,000 to make a record on their own, they'll never sell enough of those CDs or downloads or streams to even recoup that $5,000 investment. So that's my concern about the future of this music. How is it going to survive and succeed if nobody can make a living doing it? Because you guys are in Ohio, I'm in South Dakota. This is the wild Midwest. This is agriculture country. This is farm country. And if the farmers were getting $10 an hour, we'd all starve. Once the farmers quit making money, they ain't growing no more of that. They're going to go do something else.
Right.
I mean, I don't know how long these musicians can last not making any money at what they do. For 1 million streams on Spotify, you get about $3,000. And that just doesn't add up.
No.
And I'm not complaining. I'm a Spotify user, subscriber. I really enjoy that platform. I listen to a lot of music and podcasts and such on my Spotify. I get it. I understand the appeal. But I just don't know where the next generation is going to be able to bridge that gap between Aerosmith, Van Halen, whatever, all the stuff I grew up on, and whatever comes next. I don't know how they're going to do it. These festival events that we see all the time, whether it's Rocklahoma, M3, the Monsters of Rock cruise, they've managed to continue to survive a number of ways. But a lot of times they're not embracing the new acts either. They'd rather have a band from 1989 that nobody'd ever heard of than to give one of these new bands a shot on the big stage. We've got to get some of these new up-and-coming artists, like my bands, The Fifth and Crashing Wayward. They have to get out there on the big stage in front of a big audience and become known, or it's going to be an uphill climb. But it's the nature of the beast. It is what it is. I'm just glad I grew up and was able to be active in a time when anything was possible.
I'm right there with you. I'm 55, so I grew up with that, all that music too. That's my music.
Yeah.
It's my music, Randy.
I'm sorry, it's Brandy's music too.
It's our music, and it is the music of the wild and the young.
It is.
We are, we stay young at heart. Mm-hmm. We still have that spirit that caused us to fall in love with rock and roll in the first place, and that is timeless. And we'll just keep hoping for the best and keep taking it one song at a time, and wish all these young up-and-coming bands all the best, because I know how difficult it is out there right now.
Well, we definitely want to help the up-and-comers, too. So we're going to be talking to some of those bands as time goes on, and we're going to let people know that they're out there, and they need to listen to them.
Good. Well, I hope that you'll keep our artists in mind, the RFK Media people, and certainly I would love to send you each a copy of this new Live the Rock CD so you can maybe discover some of this new talent.
Nice.
That would be awesome. Thanks,
awesome.
Right.
Yeah, when it comes to the bands that we're going to interview here soon, they are from your label, so this is going to be fantastic.
Oh, good. Yeah. Good. Well, make sure you give me your mailing address, shoot me an email, and let me know where to send these CDs. I'll get them off to you immediately. Thanks,
Ron. You're such a sweetheart. Last time I got a shirt. Now you get a CD. I feel special. Well, Ron, I guess once again we should let them know where they can find you, where they can find your new music, where they can find the new artists on your record label. Lots of different websites to go over. So I'm going to let you go ahead and tell everyone what websites they should go to and what they can find.
Well, I keep it very simple. My central hub for everything that I do is ronkeel.com. There are links to everything on that site. I'm a firm believer in the old school conventional website, and social media platforms will come and go, but my site has been there 22 years. It's going to be there a lot longer. So go to ronkeel.com, RONKEEL. You'll find links to all the music, the different platforms, the YouTube channel, RFK Media, KRFK Radio, everything that I do, tour dates, the audio book, it's all there at ronkeel.com. Now, if you want a little more in-depth look and listen to the bands we're working with, the record label site is rfkmedia.com. And that is the site for our record company and our business, and krfkradio.com is the station. Program that into your favorites and crank it up and keep it up.
Well, I'd guarantee you when I start my car today, it'll pop up because it's on there already.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome. I love hearing that.
That's what I got about a half-hour commute to work, and that's what I listen to, man.
Oh, cool, man. Well, thank you. Wednesday's a good day for it because we've got a lot of great programming on Wednesdays, but then every day. I mean, Dee's on Thursday, Eddie Trunks on Tuesday, Joe Elliott's on Wednesday. So there's always something going on KRFK.
It's funny because we had to go do something yesterday, and I pulled up my car, and I'm cranking your station.
It was.
Dirty Eddie Trunk Show. Yeah, it was just blasting.
He was.
That's fantastic.
He was thumping, and I'm just sitting in my little red car just listening to it. Didn't even try to get out of the car and talk to him until the song was over.
I can't say enough about that radio station. I'm telling you, if you love rock, everything's there. That's what I told Brandi. I said everything's on that station. Mm-hmm. It's great.
Randy's fanboying right now.
I am.
Yes. Well, Randy, can I quote you on that? Can I use that in our promo?
You can. Yes, you can. Most definitely.
All right. What's your last name?
Bigley. Bigley.
Okay, I'm going to quote you on that. I'm using that, man. That's powerful praise coming from someone like you.
I appreciate it. Well, you know what? And someone like you, thank you so much. It's just awesome. I'm so glad you did this with us. It's great.
My pleasure. Anytime.
And keep rocking. And I'm telling you what, KRFK, I'm telling you, if anybody listening out there, you got to hear that station.
Randy, are you going to be okay?
I don't know.
I'm thinking he needs a nap or something now, because if you could only see his face right now, it's fantastic.
Now, all you need is a good hot shot of rock and roll, man. That'll fire you right back up.
That'll cure anything, man.
That's right.
All right, Ron. Well, thank you so much for coming on with us today. As always, it has been my pleasure.
My pleasure. Thank you guys for having me. Keep up the great work.